Good morning and happy Easter. Today's scripture reading is taken from John chapter 20, verses 11 to 16. Verse 11. But Mary stood weeping outside the tomb, and as she wept, she stooped to look into the tomb. And she saw two angels in white, sitting where the body of Jesus had lain, one at the head and one at the feet. They said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" She said to them, "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." Having said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing, but she did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking?" Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means teacher. This is the word of the Lord. I now call upon Elder Richie Tay for today's sermon.
Do I look like a grandfather? I don't think so. I hope I don't. I'm younger than that. Yeah, I'm a grandfather now of two. And I'm so glad to have this opportunity to be able to share with you this morning. We all know that Easter is what? What is Easter? Easter bunny, is it? No, What is Easter? To you? Yeah, eggs, is it? Yeah, Easter. Yeah. Whenever we talk about Easter, we always talk about the death, burial, and resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ, isn't it? Yeah, we're talking about the resurrection. There was a story about this new taxi driver who started work for the first day. And while he was driving the car, he was driving a little bit slow. And so the passenger at the back tapped him. "Why are you driving so slow?" The moment he tapped him and asked, "Why are you driving so slow?" this taxi driver panicked. And he started shouting, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." And then he opened the door and jumped out, and the car just crashed to the sideways. You know what happened? He has been a hearse driver for the last 26 years, and nobody touched his back. And suddenly somebody touched his back. Can you imagine what happened? He panicked. Many of us are like this hearse driver, Sometimes we don't expect things to happen. Because why? There was a change of environment. And when you come to Easter, Easter is something that all of us, we don't see resurrection. Have you ever seen somebody who died and rose again? Nobody does that, isn't it? But in the Easter story, this is exactly what happened. This taxi driver, he was crying in panic. He was shouting in fear because something unexpected has happened. And today we want to go into the Easter story, and as I go there, we want to discover what is this story about. We hear the reading just now about the story of Mary Magdalene, and she was weeping. She was crying. So I'm going to give you a science lesson on tears. Anybody here never shed tears? Please put up your hands. That means all of you shed tears, isn't it? All of you shed tears. Yes, including me. But there are three kinds of tears. Do you know what the three kinds are? The three kinds of tears are basal tears, reflex tears, and emotional tears. The guy that was driving the hearse for 26 years, he had a reflex tears. Or sometimes when you cut onion, those ladies who cut onion, I know guys don't cut onions on. Yeah, do you cut onions? Oh, you do, Very good, you are not a male. No, sorry. Yeah. when you cut the onions, you know something happened? Your tears will come out, isn't it? But the basil tears are the tears that you have normally right now. You're seated down here, and you have these tears that lubricates your eye. That is the basil tears. And then there is the emotional tears. Emotional tears are tears that come out from deep within the soul, whether you are happy, whether you are sad, and these tears begin to come out. And it all comes from the lacrimal glands. Okay, a little bit of science, huh? Lacrimal glands, and then it's connected to the tube, and sometimes it comes out through your nose. Have you seen the cendol that comes out from the nose? Some of you don't know what a cendol is. Cendol is our Malaysian delicacy. It's a green color. When we eat those. What are you talking about? Yeah, the cendol. Yeah, we call it cendol. So you learn. Those from other countries, you learn a new word. It's called cendol. Okay, cendol. So Malaysians like to eat cendol. Okay, why are you laughing? True, isn't it? We love cendol, isn't it? That's our Malaysian delicacy. But when that happens, you see, we find that sometimes the tears just are uncontrollable. And comes with it a pain. You cannot explain it, but it just comes out. In the story of Mary Magdalene, that's what happens. And when you look at the tears, you begin to see the tears goes into special shapes. This is the onion tears. This is our normal tears. But when we cry, this is the kind of tears. These are scientific. Then this is when we are happy. You see, even the tears has this shape. When you say, Richie, what are you talking about? I thought today is Easter. Why are you giving us a TED Talk on tears? Because Mary Magdalene went through this moment of weeping, sobbing, and crying. And in the story just now, Mary Magdalene was in the tomb. She was what? She was weeping. She was crying. She was sobbing. And no less than 5 times in this incident, from the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus, there is no less than 5 times a mention of crying and weeping. And so in the story of Mary Magdalene, there was this part where she went through heartbreak. She saw Jesus being crucified on the cross. She witnessed it. And when she was witnessing, she saw Jesus bearing the nail-pierced marks on the hands, on his feet, and on his side. She was a witness. And she was crying. Why was she crying? She cried because she was one of them who Jesus, has delivered from 7 demons. Can you imagine when someone is possessed with demons? It was not easy because she was not in control. But Jesus delivered her from these 7 demons. So when Jesus was on the cross, Mary Magdalene was watching Jesus suffering. And guess what she was doing? She was crying. And when Jesus was brought down, because it was Sabbath, the body taken down. And when the body was taken down, they have to bury him before Sabbath. She saw Jesus' body being buried into the tomb. And not only that, now, on the early Sunday morning, she went to the tomb and she was crying in front of the tomb. So there will be a lot of questions. Why are you crying? Why are you crying? It was a cry of heartbreak. She has gone through conditions in her life where she has witnessed the ugliness of life. I think many of us go through the ugliness of life. The tears of heartbreak. And we do not know what to do. Mary lost something. I know what a loss is like because I lost a brother. I lost a brother who was very young, at the age of about 19 years old. And he committed suicide. Can you imagine the loss? It has impact on me because it was a real loss. My heart was broken, of course, to see my brother die. And here you see, now Mary stood outside the tomb, and as she wept, she bent over to look into the room. Can you imagine, sometimes when you are in pain, you could be walking up and down, crying, and don't know what to do, and you will be seated down, you go to the bed, you cry, also cannot, you stand up, walk to the garden, and you cry. Can you imagine Mary Magdalene outside the tomb, crying and weeping? All of us go through difficulties. And you cry. It's okay to cry. Because you are real. You are human. But not only there is this heartbreak in the condition of our lives that we go through, there is this confusion. I remember when my father was pacing up and down. I remember I watched my father because I was just home on a college holiday. I stayed in a very small village called Jerantut in Pahang. And I remember that moment there was a fire and my father's business was burned down. I saw him, he was trying to carry himself, to compose himself, and he was panning up and down, walking up and down, walking up and down. But I knew he was confused inside because his business was burned down. You know, when I look at my father, confused, I was also confused. I was confused about who's going to pay for my college education. See how selfish we are? And sometimes we are selfish in our heart when we are having our own heartbreak. We are also selfish. And not only that, we see the situation when Jesus asked, "Woman, why are you crying? Who is it you are looking for?" Thinking he was a gardener, she said, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have put him, and so that I will get him." And this is a conversation Mary had with Jesus. Jesus was speaking, "Why are you crying?" All of us cry for a certain reason. And sometimes we don't even understand why we cry. And I remember why I cried. Because I remember I was being bullied. And when I was a kid, I was being bullied in school. It was very difficult when you were being bullied in school. And I'm always at the bottom of the rung. Because why? I was very small size. And when I went through those being bullied, there was hurt within me. And with that hurt carries the anger and the bitterness. So I got myself into the situation where I wouldn't allow anyone to challenge me. I don't know whether some of you has the kind of anger within you before. When someone challenges you, you want to fight back. You want to be the winner. You do not want to be bullied. Why? Because I was hurt. There was concussion. But with all this heartbrokenness, it doesn't stop there. It comes with hollowness and emptiness that breathes inside us. It was loneliness of loss. I shared with you how my brother committed suicide. And it was a big loss to me. And that loss actually affected me greatly. I know many of us here, we have a family at home here, isn't it? Most of us, we know that we have a family. My wife asked me this question. And I was really very burdened. And I answered her. I cannot remember what my wife said. She asked so many questions. Ladies, is that true? Does it sound, you ask a lot of questions and then sometimes you don't expect answers? But the guys, when you ask a question, the guys must answer. Guys, correct? No? Oh, you're not guys again. No? Yeah. Husbands will know when the wife asks a question, what do you do? What do you do? Keep quiet, is it? Okay, we give an answer. But sometimes the ladies there, they don't want your answer, isn't it? Oh, I'm alone, huh? Because maybe my wife wasn't expecting an answer. And I answered this to my wife, you know, what more you want? You know, what more you want? My English not very good. What more you want? I use the Cantonese, 做咩啊？做乜啊？你仲想愛乜嘢啊？ Those who understand Cantonese, you know my direct translation from Cantonese to English. This is our local dialect. What more do you want? Ask my wife. I don't go out and womanize. I stay at home. I don't gamble. I don't smoke. I go to church. What more you want? My wife was not happy. That's all I know. But I asked her, what more you want? I've given you everything already. I'm a good husband. What more do you want? But she was crying. Tell me, I say. Why can't you just tell me? Ladies got nothing to tell, isn't it? They just cry and they got nothing to tell. But I know she was not happy. I know some of us in the families are struggling that way. It could be your wife, it could be your children. Deep inside, you are hurting. And you don't know what to say. There's loneliness in loss. Woman, why are you crying? Why are you crying? And the tears begin to come out. They have taken my Lord away, and I don't know where they have put him. Mary was in a situation where the person who has healed him of the demon possession and the person she has put her hope in is now gone. Can you imagine when your hope is gone? You have lost hope. And the person that you look up to, your father, fails you. The mother that you look up to, she fails you. The family that you look up to, they failed you. What do you do? But cry in pain. And that's what Mary was going through. Loneliness, longing for an answer. I just told you, my wife was asking that question. But I was answering, what more do you want? I realized that longing, that the answer she was looking for, so that she can be happy, she could be happy, starts with me. And I realized there was something that I need to do. And today I just want to ask Rachel to share with you her journey from tears to triumph.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rachel. It's glad to be invited to come here today to share with you about my life experience and also the feelings of how much that I have gone through. Okay. Basically, I came to know about Jesus in 1997, and I only attend youth church, but I didn't go to church. And I stopped going to church in year 2000. So every time when I see people to share about their life experience and the testimony about the Jesus, and I always have a lot of questions to ask in my mind, is that true? Any chance that I will have a chance to stand at the stage to share about my life experience, make me feel the power of the God. This is my son, Matthias. He was born in year 2015. And in year 2019, he turned into 5 years old after his birthday in July. And he was suddenly very sick from coughing, running nose, fever, and he started wheezing. He has a short breath, and he was actually couldn't breathe, and he admitted to hospital. after 3 weeks, basically. Okay. And the doctor said that he has a pneumonia and he has a influenza A. So he finally subsided on the 4th week of he been sick, and that was actually on the 2nd day in hospital. So after he came out from the hospital after a week, and then we did a checkup and we found out that he has a pneumonia and he has a scar. Okay. So what happened that the doctor said that it's actually a black round shadow on his lungs, and it should be actually a post-infection from pneumonia. So what we did is we continued to do the X-ray after the 4th week and then the 5th week, and then we found out that it's not a post-infections. So you can see over here, it's actually called a CCAM. Actually, it shows in the CT scan. All right. So what happened that the doctor actually recommended us to go and see the specialist. So we did the X-ray and we did the CT scans, and we found on this CCAN in the CT scan, which is on the lungs. All right. It's actually about 2 cm. Okay. So the doctor said that, okay, don't worry about it. Maybe it's actually a post-infections. Let's continue to do the checking. But after that, about a 5th week, 6th week, and yeah, it's confirmed. It's actually a CCAM stand for congenital cystic airway malformation, which is 2 cm. So it's actually a very rare disease in the world. So basically, it's about incidence of 1 baby in 30,000 of babies. Okay. So what we did is, of course, we don't believe it, and we were very worried. So we taken the CT scans and also the X-ray to go to check with another specialist in All right. And we also sent this to another specialist, a respiratory doctor in Sedang Hospital. And also we did send this copy to go to the Melbourne, one of the doctor, and all of them actually have confirmed, saying that this is actually a CCAM. So what you need to do is to actually do a surgery. So it was very tough for me, because that me and my husband didn't know what it is. We never heard any baby has such thing, but we actually did online, check online, and yes, there is such a disease, and it's very rare. We do not know which doctors to actually do the surgery. We have no idea at all. Okay, so we continue to do the checking with our doctor, and what he did to us is like, okay, every week or every month when we do the checking, and he will be always asked like, when are you going to do a surgery, and so on. All right. So in the same year, in October, we actually went to a holiday with Matthias. So on the 2nd day, he jumped into the swimming pool, and then he was fully recovered. And then he suddenly have a short of breath, and then he actually couldn't breathe again. So we quickly come back to KL to see a doctor again. And the doctor said that, yeah, this is getting serious, that he has to go for surgery. So we did is, we basically do appointment with the HKL, with one of the Dato Zakaria, who have actually done a C-section for one of the babies. So we have done the appointments around in January. So that is what we awaited. However, that the doctors that we see in the Gleneagles, that is a respiratory specialist, what he did is he didn't give a very good explanations. He's always just tell me that, anything related to his disease or, surgery, please look for the surgeon to talk about it. I can only save you or help your son with the medicines. So I felt that it's something really not right, and I pray for it, okay? And then Uncle Richie also came to my house to pray for Matthias, because we know that we have nowhere to go. And that is where I started to actually go to church again. And Matthias have to go to Sunday school, because he didn't allow to go to kindergartens, because he cannot actually mix around, because we do not want him to be sick again. So what happened that Uncle Richie came to my house and he actually prayed for Mattis. So he taught me a very powerful kind of prayers. He told me to use these important prayers. And this is the prayers that I say. I claim all this in under Jesus' name. Amen. From there, I pray every day. What I pray about Mattis is very simple. I told God, please let his CCAM string, please it disappear, and I do not need to go for any surgery. Okay? Then at the end of the day, I pray this every day, almost until about 7 months. All right? So around in this time, it was very tough as well. I don't felt that I feel comfortable with the doctor that I actually consult. So I have been praying that I could able to meet a right doctor. Okay? In the year December of 2019, it was about 5th month of respiratory check. And then I felt that it's something not right, and someone actually recommended me to meet another doctor in Sunway. So I went to do a checking with her. And then she asked a very, very surprise questions to me, a shocking question. She asked, oh, you see this doctor, why do you still want to come and see me? He is one of the best doctor in the town. Whatever he tell you is the truth. So I told her what had I felt. I feel that it's not comfortable. So she go through on the x-ray, and then he checked, and then she said that, okay, let's do another x-ray. That was actually in December. So she shared with me a lot of experience, like, let's say when your son have to go for surgery, don't worry. She gave me a lot of comfortable kind of consultation. She told me that there's a lot of surgeon can do a keyhole surgery. So she gave me a lot of advice and said that, yes, this is a very rare case, but don't worry. She comforted me with a lot of advice. So in the 30th of December, so she actually recommended us to do another type of x-ray, all right? So after that, she asked me to actually provide a full report from the day one, and she would speak to the radiologist and also look through Matthew's reports, all right? And then after that, about 5 days, which is 3rd of January, she called me. She told me that we will need to actually speak further on the confirmations. And then after that, she called me to go over to the hospital the next day. And what she did is, the CCAM actually disappeared. She couldn't actually give any explanations. She told me the doctor is the best in town. I shouldn't be actually consult other doctor. I have also seen about another 4 doctor specialists from another hospital, and it's confirmed Matthews has a CCAM. But in the 6 months of my prayers, God actually answered my prayers, and the CCAM is gone. So it's a very miracle. I felt that, it was very lost. I know that I have nowhere to turn to, because it was a very sad story. Because Matthews, he was very young, and I don't believe that is a miracle, because I always hear people tell me about the miracle of the cancer is gone. I always laugh, wow, is that true? But it happens to me. So I hope this story to tell you about what I have gone through with the journey. There's a hope about God, and always actually pray for that, and God will answer your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel is from my church. Yeah, I remember that night I went to the house, and she was in tears. But God has turned her tears to triumph. I would just like to introduce you to the boy. Come. Yeah. This is Matthias. Matthias? Can you open up? Yeah. This is Matthias. And how the Lord has turned tears to triumph. Give a clap offering unto God. Sometimes we think that God is just a distant story. But this is a real thing that happened right before your eye. After so many doctors and specialists has confirmed the CCAM. So many of us go through moments of emptiness, hollowness. We also go through moments of heartbreak. And in that moments of hollowness and emptiness, it hits all of us. None of us here has escaped that. Remember COVID-19? That was not very long ago. Remember there were empty stadiums, empty cinemas, empty parking lots. And everywhere you go, empty malls. Everything was empty. And I also remember there were many people who were lost in the emptiness and they have lost hope in life. I still remember many of us tried to go to get that injection. And some of them will be waiting, try to punch into the computer to get that appointment to get the injection, COVID injection. And those who didn't get the injection, they started crying. Isn't it? We go through moments of emptiness. But it is in those moments of emptiness, who can I turn to? But God has promised us in this Easter story that Jesus was nailed on the cross. He was buried. But he rose again. Mary Magdalene went through that story because when she was at the tomb and Jesus rose, but she was crying. She didn't see Jesus. Was Jesus there? Yes, Jesus was there in the tomb, but she could not recognize Jesus. And she started crying. If you have taken the body of Jesus, he was thinking the other person was the gardener. Let me know so I can get the body of Jesus. Many of us cannot recognize, even though Jesus has died 2,000 years ago and rose again on Easter, we have not recognized him. Because why? We expect God to come in a certain way, in a certain form. It must be to my understanding, into my liking, the way I want it to be. No. Jesus has come. But where are you, God? Today, you have already witnessed the situation where God is real and the CCAM has disappeared. And today, Rachel and Matthias are live example that Jesus is risen. He's not in the tomb. He's not here in the tomb. He is risen. But the problem is, many of us are still living in the tomb. We are stuck in the tomb. We are stuck with heartbreak. We are stuck with hollowness and emptiness. But Jesus said, I have come that you may have life and have it to the full. So the question is, why are you crying, Mary? Why are you crying, John? Why are you crying, Thomas? Why are you crying, Rachel? Why are you crying, Sebastian? Whatever your name is. Why are you still crying? Mary Magdalene was crying because she didn't realize that Jesus is there. But brothers and sisters, I would like to let you know the good news is Jesus is risen and Jesus is here. Whoa, but I cannot see him. Rachel couldn't see. Matthias couldn't see. But she saw the hand of Jesus, how the sea camp disappeared. Why are you crying? Maybe some of you are crying because there are tears of regrets. Tears of regrets. There were regrets in my life. I remember when my mom was alive, she asked me this question, son, why is our family broken? She asked me this question, and that question really troubled me. But I tell you, today I can, my mother has already gone back to heaven now. And I see her, I can safely say, Mom, our family has reconciled. Our family has reconciled, Mom. And that reconciliation came because I decided to put my hope in Jesus. And it starts with me. But many of you say, I do not know whether there will be hope or not. Some of you may have heard of the Battle of Trafalgar, where Admiral Lord Nelson was fighting in that battle. England against France and Spain. In that battle, England decided to go to somewhere near Spain, and they fought. And then the message came back. The message came back. And all these messengers those days, they have to use signals. You know, they do lighting signals from the ship. They give signals. And the signal came back to England. England, the first message. Second message, defeated. And when the message that England defeated, they were all so sad. The whole nation was crying. England defeated. But there was a haze. Then the signal came back again. England defeated France. And then there was rejoicing. You know, brothers and sisters, many of us are living in that haze, whether you like it or not. And you live a life, England defeated. But God is telling you a message today. He's saying, England defeated France. The battle is won when Jesus rose from his dead.